All right, let me see. Let's see if we remember how to do this. It's been a minute, but we are back at it. Welcome, y'all. Welcome, happy Monday, and welcome back to another YouTube live stream. We looking all crispy and clean on the screen, and hopefully y'all are doing well on this Monday. Y'all know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. Welcome to the we barely made it, the Barely Classy Morning Show. I'm your host, ClassE of Classy Beats. Well, don't go to classybeats.com unless you want beats. Go to patreon.com/classybeats. The link is in the description as well as in the pinned comment in the chat. It's good to be back here with y'all on the morning show. I know we had a morning show on Saturday. If y'all missed it, make sure you go back and watch. And we've got a lot to cover today. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into it. But first, I got to say what's up to the people, man. Shout out to everybody who's in the building. Let me see who we got up in here. Of course, we got my awesome, amazing Amy in here to start the day. Shout out to Amy. Les Cleaver's in here. What up, what up, what up? We've got Prince Habib is in the building. Good to see you. Kelly Berg's in here. Valencia's back at it. We've got Mary. Shout out to y'all. Slim Life New Jersey is in here as well. We've got, Virginia Wiley's in here. Good to see you, Virginia Wiley. Who else is in the building? YouTube changed up y'all's names, so it's hard to read them. We got Paula Eyes is in here. Jay Buckmaster's in the building. I said what's up to Slim Life. Good to see all of y'all in here bright and early. The Honorable Attorney Kel Bell is in here as well. Kel Bell, stick around because we're going to have to talk about some things from the legal aspect I think you will find interesting as well. I want to hear your thoughts on them. Shout out to all the amazing attorneys that tune into the channel as well. Your contribution to the show is so valuable and so important. So thank you to Kel Bell and all those who watch. We've got Tracy in here as well. TM RMS is in the building as well. Dyslexia is kicking in this morning. Oh my goodness. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into it because we've got a lot to cover today. Now, as you know, for those of you who've been watching the channel, I do not ask for much on this show, but I do ask that you like the video on your way in. Likes are free. It really does help the channel continue to grow, and it lets the algorithm know you guys are enjoying the show. It shares the video, the channel, this live stream out with more people. So thank you to all 500 plus of you that have liked the video so far. It really does help us out and helps the show continue to grow. If you're feeling extra generous, you can share the video as well. You'll see a little arrow that's pointed and curved to the right. If you click that button, it'll allow you to share it. You can share it to Facebook, Instagram, X, wherever you are, even in your group chat, and let them know where you're going to be hanging out this morning. I appreciate everyone who does that and goes the extra mile and shares it across the board. I actually have not shared it yet myself, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now before we get the show started. There we go. I'm going to be an example. And then also I will be reading super chats as we go throughout the show as well. So thank you to everyone who goes the extra mile and sent in super chats. I see a bunch of y'all in there. Trisha's in here. Good morning. We've got Alice in the building. Susie's in here too. Good to see y'all. And then we've got Les Cleaver in the building with his 10-month membership milestone. My goodness. Shout out to Les Cleaver, one of the hardest working guys in the community. He says, bless each of you and know God has a plan for your life. All you have to do is trust in him. Amen. He loves us all equally as we should love others as he loves us. Smile. God's got this on purpose. Shout out to Les Cleaver in the building. Been a major supporter ever since he stepped into the community. So thank you for being here, Les. And always giving great contents and commentary too. I appreciate you. Slim Life New Jersey is in here as well. She got the whole family in the picture. She said, good morning, Classy Amy and my beautiful CEB family. Hope everyone has a great day. Believe in your flyness. Conquer your shyness. All right. God is so good. Amen. She must be getting ready for school. That's probably something that she told one of the kids this morning on their way to school. Shout out to everyone whose first day of school is this week. I know a lot of y'all have kids going back to school. Exciting, maybe nerve-wracking, maybe shy time. So yeah, fun stuff today for sure. Y'all are saying good morning. Shout out to Cynthia. Good to see you in here as well. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into the show. And I think I forgot to change this picture in here too. We got to get this titles right because this is going to be one of those shows where we're going to be talking about a lot of information that's going on in the world, especially from the legal side. And I think you all are really going to enjoy this first topic, especially considered what we talked about last week. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Let me double check and make sure I didn't miss anybody else. And shout out Amy's over there sharing on X. I saw a couple a couple more of y'all sharing the video over on X too. Thank you. Thank you. I saw Alice in here. Heather, good to see y'all. Grandson starts first grade on the 13th. Oh my goodness. We got to get you an assist with changing our names back. Oh man, I don't know what's going on with these names. I hate that it's showing it that way. So I sent an email to YouTube. I should be hearing from them shortly, and then we can figure out a way to get it changed back because I don't like it. So I'm with y'all on that one for sure. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So we've been talking about this whole situation with JSO and William McNeel. There has been back and forth like crazy. If y'all didn't watch the last video we did covering this, make sure you go watch it and read and interact in the comments because the comments are on both sides. If you're not aware of what I'm talking about, there was a gentleman, William McNeel, was stopped by the police. It was alleged that he didn't have his lights on while it was raining and he didn't have a seatbelt and he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Things escalate. Mr. McNeel locks himself inside the car. The police tell him to get out, that he's under arrest for resisting. Officers break the window. He gets open hand punched in the face. They pull him out of the car. He gets punched a couple more times and then they arrest him. He's bleeding. He chips a tooth. Obviously, now they're filing a lawsuit. The officer in question has been placed on some type of desk duty or administrative leave. And now we're trying to wait to see what the JSO is going to do. So far, the JSO has stood 10 tones down on the fact that there was no criminal action, or there were no criminal actions done by the police officer. We're going to get into that here shortly. Now, they're also saying that William McNeel pled guilty and now he has an attorney, a new attorney representing him or joining his team, Ben Crump, who has been fighting for him and showing the narrative that this man was not only attacked by the police, but he was falsely stopped and illegally stopped. And he wasn't even in his right mind when he pled guilty to the charges of driving on a suspended license. So fast forward to where we are now. There's been so much back and forth. I told you guys about the video the lead attorney did, an excellent breakdown from JSO policy and talking about Florida law in general. And there's been a lot of back and forth about this topic in the used to space and specifically law to. Now we're going to hear someone who leans more onto my opinion or my side when it comes to this whole situation with William McNeel. And that is going to be Nate the Lawyer. Shout out to Nate the Lawyer for this video. Y'all make sure you go check him out, subscribe to the channel. I'll be leaving a link to this video in the description for you. And he's going to tell us why so many people, including the lead attorney, are wrong about this being an illegal traffic stop and why the officer, even with what we saw, the force that they used, they might be in the right here. All right, let's go ahead and check it out and see what Nate the Lawyer has to say.
Number one, probable cause is not necessary when officers are employing a traffic stop. The standard is reasonable suspicion, and we're going to talk about that
probable cause for the stop.
The second thing he mentioned is about it not raining at the time the car was pulled over. That too we're going to have to address, and we're going to address it also a little later when it comes to our boy, the lead attorney. And then lastly, he says that because the officer said there were unknown occupants in the vehicle, that means the officer did not see Mr. McNeel without his seatbelt at the time. So we'll address each one of those in kind. First, let's talk about the aspect of whether it's raining at the time this car was being pulled over. I'm going to say this is probably one of the worst arguments I hear about this particular case.
Hold on, let me say it again. This is one of the worst arguments, and I agreed. I've been saying the same thing. We'll let Nate explain it.
In kind. First, let's talk about the aspect of whether it's raining at the time this car was being pulled over. I'm going to say this is probably one of the worst arguments I hear about this particular case.
The worst.
Lackluster believes that since it's not raining at the time the car was being pulled over, that doesn't mean it wasn't previously raining when the car was driving down the road. Now, It is extremely likely, meaning that during the rain, the officer observed this car driving without its headlights on.
And people were saying, oh, but look, it's the other officers didn't have their headlights on. Oh, it was an illegal stop. Again, I said this, I haven't seen evidence to show that it was not raining when the officer initially stopped him or observed this action and pulled him over. We don't know because we didn't see any video showing that. So again, I agree with Nate here, right on point.
And then when it was able to be pulled over, the rain had stopped.
It wasn't raining. Look at this video. This is fresh rain droplets still hanging onto his vehicle. If somehow it wasn't inclement weather, which means it wasn't raining at all,
exactly,
you wouldn't still see rain droplets on his car.
So Lackluster's assumption that because it's not raining right now at the moment the car is stopped means that it wasn't raining when the car was driving down the road is idiotic, just to say the least. It's just idiotic. But you're going to see a lot more people make this argument, but it is a dumb argument. Now, what if the officer said, I pulled you over for speeding? Would the argument be, well, hey, look at the body cam footage. The car is not speeding at that particular time. So that means he wasn't speeding at all. You would automatically come to the conclusion that, hey, he was obviously speeding before when the officer observed him, and now the officer's pulling him over and trying to issue a citation for that observed speeding in the past. This is not.
And this is my thing too. I don't know where people were saying, oh, it's not raining right now. The other officers didn't have their lights on. Well, obviously it's not raining because it's not raining. The officer's saying it was raining. You didn't have your lights on. That's why I'm pulling you over. And even Mr. McNeel himself, he said, it's not raining. It's not inclement weather. The officer said, okay, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just telling you why I'm pulling you over. Come on, people.
Hard people. Now, we're going to have to tackle this issue about it raining and during the rain when we talk about the lead attorney, because he's totally wrong about his analysis on this. But now let's continue with Lackluster, because he also says that because the officer said there were unknown occupants, that automatically means that he didn't observe the driver without a seatbelt.
Hello, Echo Charlie Whiskey on a silver Kia. Unknown occupants.
Now, this is easy to debunk also. Why? Because the officer is saying he doesn't know how many occupants are in the vehicle, but he does know that there's a driver, and that driver is not wearing a seatbelt. Why? Because he couldn't see into the back seat, and the windows are tinted. So when trying to relate how many occupants may be in the vehicle, he says unknown occupants. That doesn't mean there's no occupants in the vehicle. That means he just doesn't know how many there are. But he does know one thing. He observed a driver without his seatbelt on. And then lastly, we have to address the issue of whether there is probable cause to make this traffic stop. Now, Lackluster asserts that there is no probable cause to make this traffic stop.
These two facts eliminate all probable cause for the entire stop, which means everything that occurs after this moment was unlawful.
Now, let's say Lackluster is correct in saying that there was no probable cause for the stop. But then he goes and says that means everything that occurred after is unlawful. But you don't need probable cause to make a traffic stop as a law enforcement officer. You need reasonable suspicion. Here is the U.S. Supreme Court saying that. Quote,
again, guys, I said this multiple times on the live streams. We've covered this, and I said it in the videos where we talked about it, and even in the comments. If you're going to exercise your rights, please make sure you understand your rights. Please don't just go out here arguing with police officers and resisting police officers just because you feel like you're allowed to. That's not the case in every situation. Know and understand your rights. Know the difference between probable cause and what Nate's about to talk about here.
Accordingly, we hold, except in those situations in which there is at least articulable and reasonable suspicion that a murder motorist is unlicensed, or that an automobile is not registered, or that either the vehicle or an occupant is otherwise subject to seizure in violation of law, stopping an automobile and detaining the driver in order to check his driver's license and the registration of the automobile are unreasonable under the Fourth Amendment. Now, any legal book you look in, they're going to say for traffic stops, you need reasonable suspicion. The Supreme Court has deemed it. The Florida courts have deemed it. Everywhere you look, reasonable suspicion is necessary for traffic stops, which is a lower standard. Obviously. The Florida Supreme Court has even ruled this. In this case, State v. Daniels from 1995. Quote, any police officer may at any time, upon reasonable cause to believe that a vehicle is unsafe or not equipped as required by law, or that its equipment is not in proper adjustment or repair, require the driver of the vehicle to stop and submit the vehicle to an inspection and such tests with reference thereto as may be appropriate. Now, Lackluster responded to my criticism and left a couple of comments in the chat. So this is what he said. Quote, while you're correct about the differences between PC and RAS, probable cause and reasonable suspicion, the two infractions cited by Officer Bowers meet the threshold for probable cause when observed. Reasonable suspicion is simply the minimum requirement for a traffic stop. He agrees. The examples you cited work well for the examples you choose, but apply reasonable suspicion to headlights during rain. If it's raining, the driver has no headlights, you don't have to be suspicious on whether they aren't using headlights. It's observable.
Right. So again, if it's observable, then we have to assume that the police officer observed his lights being off while it was raining. And again, there were water droplets on the car. We can reasonably assume that it was raining when the officer stopped him, and then maybe it stopped raining. Who knows?
And he goes on to cite the two cases that establish reasonable suspicion is the standard that you need to pull over vehicles, not probable cause. I responded by saying the headlight infraction is a civil violation. Reasonable suspicion is the standard. It turned into a criminal infraction when he refused to get out of the car. Lackluster then responded again and said, I'm not sure what your point is. Reasonable suspicion is the minimum standard for a traffic stop. We all agree. Reasonable suspicion and probable cause are both standards in criminal and civil law. Agreed. Witnessing an offense is probable cause, i.e. witnessing no headlights, witnessing no seatbelt. I agree with that too. If an officer witnesses a person commit an infraction or a crime, they don't have to suspect that any infraction or crime was committed. Then after a little bit of talk about the live stream that I had earlier with uncivil law, he says, furthermore, probable cause is required to issue a citation, even for a civil traffic offense. So now let me read my response back to Lackluster. It says, I apologize. I should have clarified my earlier response better. Let me explain more clearly. First, reasonable suspicion alone is sufficient to justify a traffic stop. While you can certainly have probable cause, the court will specifically assess whether the officer had at least reasonable suspicion when initiating the stop. Having probable cause automatically includes reasonable suspicion, so if probable cause is established, then reasonable suspicion is satisfied. Second, you are correct that an officer witnessing a crime firsthand establishes probable cause. However, remember that for a traffic stop, you only need to meet the reasonable suspicion standard. It's similar to the legal burdens of proof. If I'm required to prove something by a preponderance of the evidence, but instead prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, I've exceeded the requirement, but the standard itself does not change. Additionally, probable cause is the minimum standard required for an arrest. Although a higher standard like clear and convincing evidence may exist, courts only evaluate the minimum standard required, in this case, probable cause, was met to justify the government action. Now, when police went in front of a judge, the judge had to determine whether the stop was legit and whether there was probable cause to arrest Mr. McNeel. And when it came to reasonable suspicion, well, the officer said that he saw the driver without his seatbelt. That would be enough to satisfy reasonable suspicion. Then the second is that the officer said he observed the car driving in the rain without his headlights. That too would be enough to satisfy reasonable suspicion. Now, these two observations by the officers were enough to at least stop the vehicle and investigate further. So Lackluster is just incorrect by claiming probable cause is necessary to stop a vehicle. Now, Lackluster is so wrong, even the case that he cites stands for the proposition, but I don't think he's actually read the facts of that case. So let me give you guys the facts of that case. Wren v. the United States.
Wren versus United States. James Brown was driving his car with Michael Wren as a passenger. Both were young African-American men. They were driving in an area known for illegal drug sales. Police officers patrolling the area for drug offenses observed Brown and Wren stop at an intersection for an unusually long time. The officers became suspicious that the men were drug dealers. At that point, however, the officers lacked probable cause or even reasonable suspicion that the men were selling drugs. The officers...
So basically, just because you're sitting in your car and you're hanging out somewhere for a long time, that's not reasonable suspicion. It's not probable cause. If it's not illegal for them, or they're not committing some type of infraction by sitting in their car in an intersection, in this alleyway, wherever, then you can't stop them. But it escalates, right?
Continued to observe the men and eventually saw Brown commit some minor traffic infractions. The officer stopped the car and approached the driver's side. In plain view, an officer could see plastic bags containing what appeared to be crack cocaine in Wren's hands. The officers arrested Wren and Brown and searched the car as an incident to arrest, finding more illegal drugs.
And the court said this stop was okay because it was a traffic stop based on reasonable suspicion. Now, this is where I have to turn into law professor Nate. Let's talk about this probable cause and reasonable suspicion thing. So let's start with the Fourth Amendment to the Constitution. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. That's pretty straightforward. If the government's going to search or seize your property or even you, they have to do it by probable cause. It literally says that right here. And I need you guys to understand, it does not say reasonable suspicion here at all. So all seizures, all searches must be supported by probable cause. So now I know your next question is, are stops like a Terry stop for stop, question, and frisk, or traffic stops that require reasonable suspicion, are they seizures under the Fourth Amendment?
Which is why you do not have to have your car searched. They say, oh, can I search your car? You say, no, you can't search my car. Why? Because I didn't have my seatbelt on? That's not really a good reason for you to search my car. No, you can't search my car. Okay.
The Supreme Court says yes, they are seizures under the Fourth Amendment. Here's what the Supreme Court said in Delaware v. Prowse, 1979. Stopping an automobile and detaining its occupants constitutes a seizure within the meaning of the Fourth and 14th Amendment, even though the purpose of the stop is limited and the resulting detention is quite brief. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Nate, so if a stop is a seizure, then the Fourth Amendment says it needs probable cause. It says right there, unreasonable search and seizures shall not be violated, but upon probable cause, right? It's there. But here is what the Supreme Court decided to do. They went with the spirit of the Fourth Amendment. Even though we have words written on this page, we're not going to treat all seizures the same. There are different types of seizures. There are some seizures, like the ones in the Fourth Amendment, that requires probable cause, but we're going to say there are other seizures that require reasonable suspicion, and we're going to just make that up. And they made that up in a case called Terry v. Ohio.
The one dissenting opinion by Justice Douglas. He strongly disagreed with the decision, saying, quote, "We hold today that the police have greater authority to make a, quote, seizure and conduct a, quote, search than a judge has to authorize such action. We have said precisely the opposite over and over again," adding, quote, "To give the police greater power than a magistrate is to take a long step down the totalitarian path. Perhaps such a step is desirable to cope with modern forms of lawlessness, but if it is taken, it should be the deliberate choice of the people through a constitutional amendment."
Now, courts do this all the time, and Supreme Court notoriously does it all the time. Now, you may hear someone say the spirit of the law, but what it's really known as is legislative intent. And
the spirit of the law, we're not going to get into today because Nate does a great job of breaking that down. Shout out to Nate the lawyer. Again, I'll leave a link to the description, or I'll leave a link to this video in the description for y'all and in the comments as well. Let me know what you guys think about this. When it comes to your rights as a citizen when interacting with the police officer, I think it's very important to understand how that relationships look. I say this all the time. The police have a job to do, which is why I respect police officers. I respect what they do. I appreciate what they do, but I'm not going to have certain conversations with the police officer just out of my rights in protecting myself, because they have a job to do. I have a job to protect myself. So you got to know these things. You got to understand that. And you have to be able to see, in this instance, the police officer, if he had a reasonable cause, if he observed something, if he observed the lights being off while it was raining, if he observed he didn't have his seatbelt on, which Mr. McNeel didn't contend to, and say, "Oh no, I had my seatbelt on." What he said was, "Oh, it's not raining." Well, clearly we can see it's not raining. Was it raining before? Either way, I want to know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. They're going to be mad about this one. I'm already getting called a bootlicker. It is what it is. Let me know what y'all think. And shout out to the gang is in here. Good to see y'all. That's his belief. Let's see what the outcome will be. And again, if you think, hey, if you say the police officer wrongfully pulled me over, Your Honor, it wasn't raining, I did have my lights on, I had my seatbelt on, then you argue that in court. I don't know what. You want to fight the police officer over it? Not a good idea. The place to argue is in court, not on the side of the road. I agree. Witchy, Fishy, good to see you in here. He's going to get paid and the officer is going to be fired. I hope so, man. And he definitely needs to get paid. But it was still excessive force. Yeah, and I think that's the thing that's getting lost in all of this. We have so many conversations here specifically about your rights and what you can do to exercise your rights and protect your rights. And we're focusing on a certain part of it. No one is denying that this officer was wrong for what he did to Mr. McNeel. I 1000% agree with that. But what I don't like is Ben Crump getting in front of all of us that are watching in front of this audience and saying, "Oh, well, Mr. McNeel didn't do anything wrong." That's not accurate. So we got to have accountability on both sides. And we can call out the police officer, say what he did is wrong. He should be fired. He should never be a police officer again, which I agree. And we can also say, Mr. McNeel, if an officer tells you to step out of your car, step out of your vehicle, and he gave you a reason why you're being stopped, and he said you want to talk to the supervisor, fine. Supervisor pulls up, they get him out there, and he says, bust the window, and you bust the window, and you get arrested for resisting. That's a problem as well. So we got to talk about it. And again, I think about it from the aspect of these are the conversations I have with my kids. And when they have these types of interactions, or they're in this type of situation, which I pray they're never in a situation where they're driving on a suspended license, or either way, or fighting with the police officer, that they know their rights. The lawyer is grandstanding. I refuse to watch one more minute of Ben. I'm over it. He made some good points, but when he went with Rosa Parks, I say, oh, okay. Y'all relax. Oh, Mary, are you in Cobb County? I'm waiting on the Cobb County stuff. Shout out to my hometown area. Oh, we're going to get into it next. Shout out to Mary from Cobb County in here, right around the corner. I don't think Ben Crunk is necessary in the case. Hey, I think Mr. McNeel should get paid. Officer should have never done what he did. It was overboard. I think it could have went a lot worse, but it was excessive in my opinion. From a legal standpoint, I don't know, but I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to use a legal standpoint to argue for a police officer punching somebody who's resisting. And by resisting, just being in their own vehicle. I don't think, what did you say? That wasn't because he's black. It was because he acted entitled. I don't think it was because he acted entitled. He acted strange. A police officer pulls you over and you're open the door and you're hanging out the door. Listen, y'all, as a police officer, I don't know what you about to do. Because we don't want to talk about, shout out to the Blue Lives Matter gang out there. We don't want to talk about the police officers who have been cautious and given the benefit of the doubt in that type of situation and ended up gone. So you don't know what you're dealing with. It is highly unusual for you to pull over someone, them to swing open their door, be hanging halfway out the door. You don't know what their other arm is doing. Listen, as a police officer, I'm like, hey man, what you got? What you got going on? Is there a reason that you're hanging out of your door like that? You good? No. It's highly unusual. So I'm just saying, I'm a police officer. Listen, y'all don't want me to be a police officer. I'm technically Douglas County, but spent half my childhood in Cobb County, Smyrna, and half in Douglasville. Okay. Shout out to ATL gang in here. I see y'all in the building. All right, let's keep it moving because we still got a ton to get to. Thank you to everybody who's liked the video. Over 500 of y'all have shown some major love and support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is Cobb County time. Let's go ahead and see what's going on with this clerk of court in Cobb County. Now, this is a very interesting story and very close to home for me as well. You guys know I'm here in Atlanta, right here in Fulton County, and Cobb County is right around the corner. So we have a county clerk who has been doing some very, very shady stuff, even so far as to go to allegedly deleting some documents. What? It gets wild. Now, this case has been going on for a while. We're going to do a little bit of a rewind and check out this video from Atlanta News First when they researched and investigated into this situation a year ago and find out what was happening with Connie Taylor. And we'll talk about what she's been indicted for as of today. Here we go.
The state now criminally investigating a local court clerk who's making a small fortune at her job. It comes after years-long scrutiny of clerks pocketing your passport fees.
Yeah, this was unbelievable when we learned about it. Atlanta News First Investigates has been on top of this case. Sierra Cummings joins us here in studio. And Sierra, this dates back to some of our reporting, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Our investigation revealed court clerks around the state were legally allowed to pocket fees for processing your passport application.
Wait a second. They get to keep the money for processing passports? So this goes above and beyond what they get paid. They process a passport, they get to keep a little bit of change.
Around the state, we're legally allowed to pocket fees for processing your passport application.
I did not know this.
Many personally collected hundreds of thousands of dollars on top of their salaries. They face backlash, but now the Cobb County clerk could face criminal consequences after being accused of going too far.
Time to be a clerk.
The case stems from this whistleblower letter. A former employee told Cobb commissioners that Superior Court Clerk Connie Taylor got an open records request when she asked for documentation of all the fees she'd collected from passport applications. Instead of providing those records, Clerk Taylor ordered staff to destroy them. the letter claims. It's unclear what those documents would have revealed, but our investigation found when you apply for your passport, there are two fees. The $130 application fee by law must go to the federal government. The $35 processing fee goes to the clerk's office. Then it's up to the clerk to either keep the money or redirect the funds to the...
Yo, what? Who else is going to apply to be a clerk? How do we get... I want to be a clerk. How do we do this? I know a lot of people that could use a passport. Can we promote people applying for passports? I mean, just come in and apply. Get your passport. Travel. It would be amazing. Now, I'd be going crazy up here. It's wild.
County budget. The GBI began investigating Cobb County Clerk Connie Taylor back in 2022. Last month, they handed over their findings to the Georgia Attorney General's office.
Now the Attorney General's office is reviewing the case files. After our reporting for the last 2 years, Georgia lawmakers passed Senate Bill 19 this session. It mandates clerks to now disclose how much money they're pocketing from passport fees. That's if Governor Brian Kemp signs the bill into law.
Wow, they're going to call me the passport king if I get up in there. So now we fast forward to this indictment that came down against Connie Taylor, and it gets crazy. All right, we got another video here from Atlanta News First, but check this out. Cobb County clerk booked, released on charges for destroying public records. She didn't want y'all to know how much she was getting paid, which why she would do that, I don't know. I don't know why. There must be something else there. We're going to find out. Connie Taylor, the Cobb County Superior Court clerk facing charges of destroying public records, was booked early Friday morning at the Cobb County Jail and released on her own reconnaissance. Excuse me, I always mess that word up, according to jail officials. Now, Doug Weinstein's actually going to talk about her capture and release. I hate to say it that way, but that's what it was because the turnaround was so quick. But we'll get into that in a second. Taylor was indicted on July 31st on 2 counts of destruction of public records and 2 counts of violating her oath of office. Taylor is alleged to have instructed a court worker to destroy documents related to her retention of passport fees. In her words, Taylor commanded the worker to Donald Trump this thing. Yo, that's crazy. Taylor was indicted following a Georgia Bureau of Investigation inquiry. All right, let's see what Atlanta News First has to say.
Indictment comes after Atlanta News First investigations revealed the controversial practice of clerks pocketing passport fees. Investigator Sierra Cummings joining us here in studio. And Sierra, you found out this is completely legal.
Right, completely
Donald Trump
legal.
That thing.
Clerks around the state of Georgia are allowed to pocket some fees for processing your passport applications. Many of these elected officials personally collected hundreds of thousands of dollars on top of their salaries, facing backlash. But our reporting found Cobb County Clerk Connie Taylor may have gone too far. It's why she had to pay nearly $84,000 to Cobb County earlier this year. Here's how it all works. When you apply for your passport, there are multiple fees. The $130 application fee by law must go to the federal government. The $35 processing fee goes to the county clerk's office. The clerk can either keep that money or redirect the funds to the county budget. Then there's the expedited shipping fee of $24.70. The clerk is not allowed to pocket that. However, a Cobb County review found Clerk Connie Taylor did for at least 2 years. But just to be clear, Clerk Connie Taylor was not indicted today on pocketing illegal fees. She was indicted on allegations that she directed an employee to destroy county government documents related to the passport fees. In the studio, I'm Sierra Cummings. Atlanta News First investigates.
So we've got one more video coming up where it talks about the indictment in more detail. But hey, if y'all don't have funding for something that you think you should have in your county, you need to go talk to your clerk. Be like, hey, county clerk, what you doing with those passport fees? How much are you collecting? We keep hearing it's not in the budget. It's not in the budget. It's not in the budget. I want to know. I need to know how much you were taking for yourself on top of what you're getting paid. And again, this is why it's so important to understand not only local government, what's going on, but the people who are involved, because you do not realize, I don't realize how much power even a Clerk County court official has, which is crazy. Here we go.
An elected official is accused of deleting government emails and financial records Grand jury indicted the Cobb County Superior Court clerk this morning. We broke this story on WSBTV.com and Channel 2 Action News at noon. Channel 2 Cobb County Bureau Chief Michelle Newell is live at the courthouse.
What's up,
Michelle,
Fatima?
you've been working to reach the clerk all day.
And Karen, I also tried to contact her attorney. I was able to get in touch with a representative from the clerk's office, and this is the indictment that was brought down this morning. We're told the GBI is the lead on this investigation. Connie Taylor has served Cobb County as an elected official since 2020.
State your name. Connie Taylor.
Taylor is now accused of violating the oath she took as the Cobb County Superior Court clerk.
The indictment charges Connie Taylor with the offense of destruction of public records. Count 3 is violation of oath of office. Count 4 is violation of oath of office.
The Georgia Attorney General filed those charges after a GBI investigation into what Taylor allegedly did in response to an open records request in 2022. In this 5-page indictment, Taylor is accused of ordering an employee to delete a folder that obtained records fees from passport services.
Isn't it wild that, again, a clerk has this much power to just delete a file from existence? Wow. And no, Fannie has not turned over her documents yet.
She's accused of telling the same employee to delete an email related to passport revenue. I stopped by Taylor's office to get her response. The chief deputy clerk met me instead. Where is Connie Taylor now?
She's unavailable.
Okay. How can we get in touch with her?
You can't.
I don't have that information now. I can give it to you shortly.
And she's still working here?
Snitch,
Absolutely.
Libby.
No impact to our office. We're open in normal business hours.
Come on, Libby, tell us where she is.
Cobb County judges and the district attorney have recused themselves from this case. Now, earlier this year, Taylor agreed to pay more than $80,000 in passport shipping fees that she collected during her first 2 years in office. Reporting live from Cobb County, Michelle Newell, Channel 2 Action News.
And why do y'all think she did that? Do you think it was because someone told her, hey, you know, you can take these processing fees and you can take the shipping fees too? She's like, oh, shoot, I can get all this. Fine, I'll do it. And she started doing that. And someone else said, hey, Connie, you know, you can't be taking those shipping fees, right? She's like, oh, man, well, I've been doing it. Might as well keep going. And she had to write an $83,000 check to Cobb County. Shout out to Cobb County. Hey, at least some of the corruption is getting repaid. Now here in Fulton County, we're just waiting on Fannie to do the right thing. She said, man, let me get this process. That's amazing how money can just be channeled different ways. How does that work? She's just eating her lunch one day, thinking about the processing fees, and says, you know what? I'm feeling generous today. Maybe I'll give something back to the people. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. Now, I was going to read this article, but we pretty much heard everything here. We know what she's being indicted on. This is interesting, though, what the GBI has to say. So we'll just read the whole thing. So the Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr today announced that Cobb County Superior Court clerk Connie Taylor has been indicted on 2 counts of destruction of public records in violation of oath of office. The charges stem from allegations that Taylor directed an employee to delete government emails and financial records and said, and quote, Donald Trump that thing. In response to open records request about 3 years ago. Georgians deserve honesty and transparency from their elected officials, and anything less undermines public trust, said Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr. Any attempt to conceal or destroy government records are serious allegations that cannot be ignored, and those responsible will be held accountable, unless their name is Fannie Willis. And I know her name is pronounced Fannie. I don't care. Following an investigation conducted by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the Attorney General's White Collar and Cybercrime Unit presented evidence to a Cobb County grand jury, which returned an indictment against Connie Taylor last week. It was last Thursday. The intentional destruction of public records is a serious offense that undermines transparency and public trust, says the GBI director Chris Hosey. We remain committed to working alongside our local state, and federal partners to ensure accountability and uphold the integrity of government operations across Georgia. Wow. So now that this all has been done, our guy, Doug Weinstein, he works out of Cobb County. He does a lot of work in Cobb County. I think if you follow him, you probably are familiar with that. And we actually have a trial coming up that Doug Weinstein is going to be covering that we may report on here on the channel. Either way, he had something to say about this clerk getting seemingly somewhat special treatment by the way she was arrested and then released within, it seems like, hours of happening. Check this out. I won't hold my breath on Fanny.
The Cobb County Clerk of Court, Connie Taylor, is indicted for basically violating her oath of office, pocketing some fees that she should not have pocketed associated with passports, as well as destroying evidence related to that. I believe she told one of her employees to destroy evidence by saying, "Let's trump this thing." So anyway, all those accusations aside, and by the way, she's so grossly incompetent at her job that the judges in the court have basically put out an edict that says if a defendant does not show up for court where they've been called, you're not to issue a failure to appear because the odds are they didn't get the notice.
That's
another issue. But what I want to point out is she is arrested, booked into the Cobb County jail, and she is in and out in an hour and a half, paying about $20 and getting out on a signature bond. Now, obviously, Connie Taylor is not a risk of flight, probably not a threat to intimidate witnesses.
Yeah, Doug, but she gonna be back there running up them applications. She's got to pay for an attorney. She's gonna go back to work and be running up those processing fees. We need her off the street. Those processing fees, man, they're gonna keep going in her pocket on her paycheck.
Not a threat to commit felonies in the community.
Dang.
Not a danger to the community. She meets all the requirements for bond, and she should get a bond. But none of my clients that have those same requirements get in and out of Cobb County, the Cobb County jail, or any jail, in an hour and a half. If Connie Taylor was anybody else, she'd go into the jail, and if she's lucky, sit overnight and get out the next day. So I have no problem with the treatment they gave Connie Taylor. I would just like to see every other criminal defendant get that same treatment.
Shout out to Doug Weinstein, man, a man of the people, always fighting for his clients on and off the field, in and out of court. And that's a great point. That is a great point. And don't get locked up on a Friday. You're going to be sitting there till Monday. Don't get locked up on a Friday night. You're not going anywhere. Doug Weinstein is 1000% right. And you continue to see the favoritism, as I just talked about here in Fulton County, what's going on with the DA, several other things happening there. And now you see it here with the clerk of court. Let me know what y'all think about this. Of course, we're going to follow it and see what conclusion we come to in this indictment. But at the end of the day, you really learn a lot about how government is run and how, especially at the local level, things can get a little bit blurry. Let me know what y'all think in the comments and in the chat. Oh man, shout out to Doug Weinstein, a man of the people. Yes. She has to pay an attorney now, so she's not stopping anytime soon. Gonna be like, man, she's gonna be putting out flyers. Hey, you need a passport? I just partnered with Royal Caribbean, and we've got a special going now. You come in and get your passport today, they'll give you 10% off your next cruise. Corruption at its finest. How can someone just decide if they're going to funnel that money back into the county, or if they're going to keep it for themselves? That is amazing. If this is happening at this basic of a level, at just passports, how far do you think this goes, guys? The amount of money that gets funneled and moved around. We hear about it a lot. Once you get into the higher up politics, you start talking about Senate and you start talking about representatives and governors and how they'll go in and they'll have a net worth of $100,000 or even $500,000, and they come out of office and their net worth is in the double-digit millions. It's like, how is this happening? Where's all this money going? Where's all this money coming from? Came into office and you only had $100,000 net worth, and 5-10 years later, you tripled that? No, take that back. You 100x'd your net worth from 10 years in office? What? Boy, oh boy. I know that's a rabbit hole we're going to have to go down maybe another day. I need a passport, says Kitty Cat. Hey, Cobb County is going to get you right. Go ahead and help out the Connie Taylor Attorney Fund. Fannie probably has a $10 million net worth. CPE's in the building too. Shout out to my guy CPE. Thank y'all for showing love. We've got Kara Hampton in here. Just gifted 5 memberships. If you got a membership from Kara, do the right thing. Make sure you show some love. Make sure you say thank you. And check out the members only content we've got over on the members side. All right, if y'all haven't checked it out, and you get instant access to all the videos that we drop here on the channel as well. So thank you, and big shout out to all the members, and shout out to Kara for not only being a member, but giving you guys a chance on the member side too. We got Floyd, the real deal Neil, just became a gold member again. Shout out to Floyd. Good to see you back in here, man. And Connie Taylor with an emphasis on the con. Yikes. Not a good look. We got Fanny. We got Connie. Who's next? It's unheard of. I hope they steal her bail money. That's pretty savage, man. Oh my gosh. Fulton County and Cobb County officials are in the back room of Rice Street smoking cigars and scheming. They're getting all the game from the inmates. Like, hey man, if you were in my position, what would you do? I need some advice. The rules were written by criminals for criminals. Georgia is all about getting your money any way they can. It seems to be that way. Amy says Alan Jackson has just joined Karen's civil lawsuit defense team. Hey, shout out to Karen Reed. AJ's back at it. So nice to my face. Let me put out proper clothes and install my rent. I'll never get over that one. Oh no. Dang. But will I get it? Will I get it is the issue. I don't care what she's stealing. I just want to go to, oh, okay. You're trying to do some traveling. You gonna go get her passport? All right, go ahead and support Connie then. That's how you feel. You gotta stand on principle. Cancel your trip to Ghana for a wedding. You gotta stand on principle. Do not give any more processing fees to Cobb County, or you're a part of the problem. Playing kitty cat. Enjoy your wedding and safe travels. All right, let's go ahead and keep it going with this next topic. I think AJ and Karen Reed are a new couple. Hey, yo. They are lawyers, so I would never confirm or deny that unless I heard it from a credible source. So I'm gonna leave that alone. I do not want to get a letter in the mail talk about AJ and Karen. So hey, best of luck to them. Let me see what else y'all are saying. Amy says AJ is definitely a great lawyer for sure. And that's dope, man. I wonder if he's doing this one for free as well. Let me see. Danny in real life is in the building too. Shout out to Poetic Justice. We got Penny Neal in here. Gloria's in the building. Good morning to all of y'all. Shout out to, man, look at that chat lit up all green. We got so many members in here. Tommy's in here too. I thought the same thing about Alan Jackson and Karen Reed. I'm gonna let y'all have that one. Listen, y'all see Shannon Sharp getting sued for $20 million for saying something's going on when it's not. That was a great lesson to me. Thank you to Shay Shay for paying the stupid tax for me. Because if I was going to stay away from the gossip and all the stuff that was happening before, I definitely am now. You ain't going to sue me for $20 million. If I don't hear it come out of your mouth or I don't see some legal documents that show it, I'm not talking about it. Gloria Smith said, I received a membership and would like to say thank you to the person who sent it. Shout out to Kara Hampton gifting the memberships. Freedom Ring says, just the fling. I don't think he'll leave his. Okay, I'm not reading these out loud. AJ, I didn't say this, okay? Heather Taylor says, how often do you go live? We go live every day. Every weekday we're live. And then we're live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night as well with the Song of the Night Live. Check it out. Amy says, I'm sure him and Karen are figuring out how to pay. Shannon needs to start an episode about fake news. He'll beat his lawsuit. Yeah, he needs to retroactively go back and say, hey guys, we were just testing out a new segment called Fake News where I just talk about fake news. But even then, even if you do that, you can still get sued for defamation. You can't just be making up stuff about someone who was just enjoying themselves at a concert. Dumb, man. All right. Speaking of dumb, let's talk about what's going on with Gilbert Arenas. Now, Gilbert Arenas, y'all may know, he has his podcast, very, very, very successful. One of the best podcasts on YouTube right now. Former NBA player, and he's just doing great for himself. Well, recently, Gilbert Arenas has been caught up in somewhat of a gambling scheme. Scary thing about this, we've seen it happen before. Somewhat reminds me of what was going on with Michael Vick. Michael Vick wasn't actually maybe involved in the situation that was going on at his place, but because it was held at his home, he was held responsible. Now we see something similar with Gilbert Arenas and this illegal gambling. We're gonna hear from Gilbert himself, and he's gonna talk about what's going on and what he plans on doing to beat this. And we're also gonna talk about what he's facing and who else was involved. So check this out.
Alvin, former NBA star Gilbert Arenas has been arrested and is now facing federal charges for allegedly running an illegal gambling ring out of his San Fernando Valley home.
Arenas, along with several others, were arrested today. One of them, a suspected high-level member of an Israeli organized crime group. Arenas has already made his first court appearance, facing a judge this afternoon in downtown L.A. KTLA's Mary Beth McDade live in Encino with more. Mary Beth.
This is tough.
Yeah, and Mike and Sherry, as the hours wear on, I'm getting to read these court documents a little bit further. And so it appears that the illegal gaming up here at this Encino mansion began back in September 2021 and then came to a screeching halt the night of July 19th, 2022. That's when the feds raided this Encino mansion. And at the time, there were 26 high-stakes poker players inside, as well as a lot of staff that were made up of young women, chefs, valets, and security guards.
Are we talking about another Rico? Yeesh. Gilbert, you better get out of this, man.
You're asking me, I'm telling you. Former NBA All-Star turned podcaster Gilbert Arenas was allegedly running illegal high-stakes poker games out of his Encino mansion. Arenas, who the feds dubbed Agent Zero, and 7 others, including a suspected Israeli international crime boss and a West Hollywood lawyer, have been charged in a federal indictment. The former Washington Wizards player is accused of renting out his Encino mansion on Gable Drive for the illegal games, which were allegedly hosted by his co-conspirators. According to court documents, Arenas texted one of his co-conspirators this picture of a poker table in connection to the games. Which...
Oh, no, God. Hey, Gilbert, come on, man. He was out there doing this unashamedly. Look at this, Arenas Poker Club. Come on, dog.
This picture of a poker table in connection to the games, which allegedly took place from September 2021 to July 2022. A neighbor recalls seeing unusual activity and scantily clad women during that time frame.
Well, just mostly people coming out at all hours of the night.
Nobody's
usually
surprised.
I see women, though, coming out. Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning and taken off with whomever in a car down the street.
The alleged Israeli crime boss, Yevgeny Gershman, is accused of hiring young women who, in exchange for tips, served drinks, provided massages, and offered companionship to the poker players. The women were charged a tax, a percentage of their earnings from working the games.
The more people you have who are willing to engage in stuff that's illegal or high risk puts us all in certain situations that we don't want to be in.
Arenas and several of his co-defendants have been charged with 1 count of conspiracy to operate an illegal gambling business and 1 count of operating an illegal gambling business. Arenas was also charged with 1 count of making false statements to federal investigators.
He said you're mad because you weren't invited?
Yeah, he apparently told investigators that he didn't know what was going on up here at his Encino mansion. And we have learned that the mansion was sold a few years ago and now operates as a drug and alcohol rehab facility.
Yo, come on. Hey, Gilbert. Bro, he said he didn't know. He did not know that this was happening. Hold on a second now. So who did this, my guy? Arenas Poker Club. I had no idea. Come on, man. Okay, well, as you know, Gilbert Arenas, he had to say something about this. This is absolutely hilarious. I'm going to read this article and then we're going to hear what Gilbert has to say. Because he's like, nah, they not going to get me. Gilbert Arenas says he's snitching. Won't go back to jail after gambling arrest. Gilbert Arenas made it clear that he has no plans to return to jail after his arrest this week, saying he plans to sing like a canary and save his own you-know-what. I love this guy. The former NBA star who is accused of running an illegal gambling operation spoke about the crazy situation on a live stream Thursday night, and it's obvious Gil ain't sweating the charges. Good luck in court. I'm pretty sure I ain't gonna be there when it's starting to go, because, yeah, I'm snitching. Shout out to Gilbert Arenas. The 43-year-old bailed out on Wednesday after posting a $50,000 bail. Gil revealed authorities took his passport before springing him, although he's got a backup plan. He said, you got to have 2 passports, Gilbert Arenas said. You think I'm dumb? All right, let's just hear what he has to say about this. This man is hilarious.
I'm on them. I'm out. Yep. Mm-hmm. Hey, they took my passport.
I don't blame him.
Man, like, damn, my passport? That's crazy, because I got another one, but you gotta have 2. That was that. Yeah, I think I'm dumb. Woo, man, I'm just trying to tell you, don't get arrested and you gotta use the restroom, man. I'm just trying to tell you, they don't.
It's true.
They don't treat you right. Nah, but everybody was in there nice. Like, well, so what was crazy is the who arrested me, I played the in basketball. he went to high school. I played him in high school, man.
That's crazy.
Oh, hey, what's up, G8? Hey, nothing, man. How you doing, Fred? I see you still get in trouble. Yeah, you know what it is.
That's crazy.
I'm dead ass serious.
At least
I was like, yeah, this is Fred. Just be honest, man. This is the only time you actually stopped me, brother. This is the best deed you done had ever since we was little. That's crazy.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a wild thing to say. Either way.
Kwame put something on the grill. Yeah, I bet he did cook and celebrate. Probably mad that I got out. Hey, I don't know if he know. I'm the only one that bailed out. Everybody's still there. They not letting them go. Yeah, they not letting them go, man. I'ma just be honest with you. I don't know who them was, but it don't look like they was getting out. Yeah. I don't know what language they speaking, nervous. But I was like, yeah, it look like y'all stressed. But all right, partner. Hey, y'all, good luck in court. Hey, man, because I'm pretty sure I ain't going to be there when it's time to go, because, yeah, I'm snitching. I don't know your name. What's your name? Igor? Yeah, all right, let's write that down. Igor. Yeah, he did something. You look like you guilty. I'm going to just be honest. Most of them look like, there was one in there. He must have been the head. He must have been. I swear to God. he didn't speak. Okay, he did speak English because I heard him speaking English. But he did. I don't speak. So they gave him a translator. The translator said, "Yeah, you're not gonna bond out today. Probably next week." He's like, "Oh, it's okay. It's okay." Hey, what about me? Where my lawyer? Tell my lawyer. What do you mean? It's okay. No, it's not okay. I don't know what you used to, but I'm not used to this right here.
Oh man, what do y'all think about this? He seems like he's not scared, but y'all are saying maybe this is forced. Maybe he's nervous. He's over there fidgeting, moving around, like thinking about what could possibly happen. In an odd coincidence, Gil said he knew one of the cops who cuffed him. We just heard about that. As for Gil's takeaway from the ordeal, don't get arrested if you got to reuse the restroom, man, he said. And then he posted this over on X last week when he was set free. He said, "I'm back in the streets. This ain't got ish to do with me. Just rented the house. Wasn't my part." Again. What is this? I don't know.
Me.
That's him getting out of
You
jail.
better not.
Can't hold me, baby. You can't hold me. Hello.
He said, "No, I'm going back to my life." The 3-time All-Star pleaded not guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to operate an illegal gambling business, 1 count of operating an illegal gambling business, and 1 count of making false statement to federal investigators. Arenas is due back in court in late September. Y'all know we are going to be covering this as it goes on. This dude is wild, man. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. Sheesh. Is Gil gonna be okay? I don't know. I think he'll be fine though. Amy up in here with the cake. Reminded me that it's lunchtime and it's almost time to get out of here. I still have so much we have to cover, man. Dang. We still have so much to cover, but she's right. I do need to get out of here soon. So we're going to get a couple more things to hear. And Amy, as amazing as she is, she actually sent me over the indictment. So let's look at, I want to look at this real quick. Oh, we got the whole thing. We got to go through this. We're not going to do it today though. I'm going to save this one. I'm going to tease y'all a little bit. Shout out to Amy. We will definitely be covering this full indictment. They got the picture of the of the table here. We're going to look through it and then I'm going to find out from you all what you think. If you think Gilbert Arenas is guilty of this or not. And then I had Stephen A. Smith I wanted to hear from too on this because Stephen A. Smith is not laughing about this situation, nor does he think it's funny. And then we'll go through this full indictment tomorrow. Shout out to Amy, man. I told y'all she makes so many things on this show happen and is a big part of what we do here. So thank you, Amy. I appreciate you. Thank you for everything that you do. Shout out to Amy, man. I love Amy. She's amazing in so many ways. I will make a bet that nothing happens. We'll see. We're going to look at the indictment. If Diddy gets off and he doesn't, that would be something else. On the net, laughing about Fed charges ruining your son's chances. NFL showed that your daddy can affect where and if you get drafted. Talking about Shador, I'm sure. Not smart enough to be scared, but our plus, he will just tell on everybody. Yeah, that's fine. If that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. His son is trying to go to the NBA. They are not playing about gambling. Then you do this. Selfish. Yeah. That's a great point. I didn't even think about that. How does this affect your kid? You know what they say about the sins of the fathers? That's tough, man. Tough. But old girl can steal from the country and only pay $20 to get out in less than an hour. But yeah, no gambling. Right. And it's legal stealing, technically. She just had to return the money. He's crying underneath that laughter. That laughing out loud seems forced. He said he's on some giggle weed. Man, you got to laugh through the pain sometimes. Not as nice as his, but I do have a gambling table with my name on it. Ordered it online. Pretty nice looking, just for fun. That's dope. I might have to check that out. Let me see. Thanks for being so awesome, Amy. Yeah, shout out to Amy, man. Y'all give it up to Amy. Always doing it big out here. Okay, we got to talk about Diddy, and then I might let y'all go. Possibly. I won't hold you hostage for too much longer. Shout out to Amy. I know she wants to say something, but she can't. It's all right, Amy. I didn't mean to set you up like that. My bad. All right, here we go. We've got some more updates when it comes to the Diddy situation, and it's starting to get wild. If you haven't heard about this, you're not going to believe it. Diddy is not backing down at all. So Diddy is continuing to put pressure on the judge to let him go. I'm a nonviolent offender, judge. These crimes, you have not held anyone who was found guilty of these type of crimes. You have not found anyone who's been acquitted of the other crimes y'all were trying to find me guilty of. Stay in jail for this long. Let me go. I need to get out. What is Diddy saying according to TMZ? Diddy fires back at the feds in a battle over bail. Check this out. Sean Diddy Combs is firing back at federal prosecutors who want to keep him locked up at least another 2 months. He says they're hell-bent on punishing him for hiring adult male prostitutes and paying them handsomely to bang his girlfriends. Hey, yo. Why did TMZ write it like that? In new legal docs obtained by TMZ, Diddy's legal team rips the feds, claiming prosecutors are unfairly targeting him as they have throughout a misplaced investigation. It's true. Diddy's camp comes out firing. Impervious to the jury's verdict, the government proceeds as though Combs was not acquitted of trafficking and racketeering conspiracy, along with all racketeering acts with which he was charged and found not guilty. His attorneys continue, hellbound on punishment for punishing him for being a user of prostitution services in a more draconian manner than anyone in U.S. history. The government continues to target him unfairly. I agree. Just as it has done from the inception of this provably misplaced investigation. The filing comes in a response to federal prosecutors urging the judge in Diddy's criminal case to deny him bail and keep him in jail until his October 3rd sentencing. It gets crazy because we're actually going to hear from one of the victims who's going to speak out about Diddy getting bail, and it may not be in the way that you think. Look at this. As we first reported, Diddy's filed a new motion for bail last month. His legal team arguing he's probably the only man in America and possibly in legal history behind bars for hiring and transporting male workers across state lines to bang his girlfriend. Why do they keep saying it like that? Diddy skated on racketeering and trafficking charges in his criminal trial and only got dinged for 2 lesser prostitution-related charges under the Mann Act. But his lawyers say prosecutors are making statements that are at odds with what a jury of his peers found, which is true. His defense previously said there's no binding precedent for him in jail, for keeping him in jail before sentencing, but prosecutors come back and said Diddy failed to show the court any evidence to mitigate his crimes, which might justify releasing him on bail. Prosecutors also cited 2 prior federal cases in which the judge denied defendants bail after a conviction under the Mann Act. They say both cases are almost carbon copies of Diddy's because the defendants were also facing trafficking charges, but were only convicted of Mann Act violations. Diddy's legal team says his case is an outlier because the prostitutes he hired were adult American men, which is different from the other cases, who he and his longtime girlfriend agreed to bring into their relationship. Not only that, but ClassE found some of them as well. Diddy says the men were paid thousands of dollars for intercourse and believed they were friends with Diddy, ClassE, and Jane. And get this, Diddy's camp says his ex-girlfriend, Gina H., has written a letter to support his motion for bond. We're going to get into it. If y'all don't know who Gina is, she's ex-girlfriend of Diddy, as mentioned before, and she was also included in this trial as a victim. What? So now Gina is saying, hey, we went through the trial. We saw everything that went down. I'm going to need y'all to let Diddy go, which is shocking to me. And she may just be trying to, I don't know, take care of their relationship. She wants to get back on the payroll, but I've never seen anything like this before. Check this out. So we have, and I'm going to read this from Ronald Richards over on X, says Sean Combs' case is falling apart for the Southern District of New York. The victims are now asking he be given bond. What? To be clear, no one is condoning anything, but if the 2 Mann Act charges were the only ones to begin with, he would have gotten bond even up to sentencing. Flight risk, danger to the community are the 2 factors. He is clearly not going to flee, as he has little time left, if no time to be served. And he is not a danger, as he has never violated a court order, and the court can fashion conditions to make sure he complies with his bond order. The prosecutors are hurting their credibility at this point by keeping him in custody pending sentencing. 12 skeptical New Yorkers acquitted him of the most serious charges, and he has and will be punished for the ones he was convicted on. As a reminder, he was not charged with domestic violence, which he readily admits he is guilty of, which, again, it was a smart move on the defense's part, playing it the way they did. But now with the bond, it seems to be hurting them because the Judge A.S. said himself that factored into his decision to deny bond. He needs to be released, or there is a good chance a pardon will be coming soon. Release does not mean no jail, just pending sentencing. This is how justice should be administered. What does Gina say? Your Honor, my name is Virginia H., and I am writing as the person identified as victim 3 in this case. What? I have known Sean Combs for many years in both a personal and professional capacity. From the experience, I have seen him primarily as a father, a family man, and a businessman. Roles that he has always striven to uphold. I provide this letter to share my observations about his character and to respectfully request that the court permit his release on bond while the case proceeds. This is a victim number 3 in this case, and she's saying let Diddy go. Where are the psychologists on this one? The psychologists are going to have a field day with this. I cannot believe she wrote a letter to the court saying let him go. I acknowledge and respect that Mr. Combs stands accused and that the court must weigh public safety and the integrity of the legal process. At the same time, I believe it is important for the court to have a full picture of who he is beyond the allegations. Our relationship, like many, was not always perfect. We experienced ups and downs and mistakes were made, but he was willing to acknowledge his mistakes and make better decisions in the future. Over the years that followed, he made visible efforts to become a better person and to address the harm he has caused. By the time our relationship ended, he embodied an energy of love, patience, and gentleness that was markedly, I don't know what she means, markedly different from his past behavior. To my knowledge, he has not been violent for many years, and he has been committed to being a father first. I am writing because I do not view Mr. Combs as a danger to me or the community. This is his first criminal case. Throughout the investigation and proceedings, he has been cooperative, respectful, and compliant. He has substantial ties to his family and community, including children who depend on him for emotional and financial support. Granting him bond would allow him to continue caring for his family and fulfilling his responsibilities while still subject to the court supervision. I want to assure the court that if released, I believe Mr. Combs will adhere to the conditions imposed and will not jeopardize his freedom or well-being of his family. Allowing him to be at home will also support the healing process, for all involved. I respectfully ask that you consider these factors when deciding his eligibility to release. Thank you for your time and consideration. Respectfully, Virginia Gina H. I have never seen anything like this in my life. A victim, someone who is identified as victim 3, a victim in this case, asking that the person be released on bond. I don't know what Diddy had going on, but shout out to Gina, I suppose, for trying to get him out of there and taking the initiative and writing this letter. This is absolutely amazing. Let me know what y'all think about this, because we've got a little bit more. My guy Dennis Byron posted this over on X. He says Diddy's team files a blistering rebuke of the federal prosecutors in their latest filing. Grab your popcorn. Here it goes. Contrary to the government's contention, living conditions at the MDC remain inhumane and the conditions seem unlikely to improve due to the aggressive government budget cuts. MDC routinely serves food that is expired and infested with maggots. What? The maggot-infested food captured in a photo. Oh, and that photo is unfortunately not an uncommon experience. So there was we got to figure out and find this document, this full document, because I want to see the pictures. Lockdowns also remain common despite the government's claims. For example, MDC sent a notice to detainees that they would be on lockdown from February 22nd, 2025 to at least March 3rd for over a week because multiple inmates became disruptive and utilized weapons during an incident. This was just a few months ago. The government argues that the unchecked violence relied upon in, does not serve as valid basis for finding of exceptional circumstances because the violence occurred over a year ago. ECF 488 and at 7. Unfortunately, this shows the government's ignorance with respect to inmate violence at the MDC. On March 6, 2025, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York announced criminal charges against 25 defendants in 12 separate cases relating to violence and contraband smuggling at the MDC. You don't want to be in the MDC, clearly. All of which occurred recently between April 2024 and the present. These include charges against 15 inmates for violent assaults against other inmates from May 2024 to the present. A former correction officer for attempting to smuggle contraband into the facility on January 21st, 2025, an inmate for orchestrating a contraband smuggling operation between April and June of last year, an inmate for smuggling ceramic scalpels into the facility on October of last year, an inmate for possession or contraband and continuing to commit fraud while detained at the MDC, and an MS-13 gang associate for attempting to smuggle a large package of contraband, including 18 cell phones and marijuana, to other MS-13 gang members incarcerated at the MDC. Additionally, upon information and belief, just 2 Fridays ago, an inmate in the floor above Combs was stabbed. Get that man out of here, man. Let Diddy go. What are we doing here? He flew these guys out for... as TMZ says, to bang his girlfriend. So let him go. It's time to let Diddy free. I don't know what we're doing here. Federal government should have been a better job if they wanted this to stick. And I think he's just being, at this point, they just need to give him bond, get to the charges. He's probably not going to do any time from reports that we're hearing. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. Oh my gosh, man. I just had a crazy idea. Will the court system start using AI public defenders and prosecutors? Crazy. Shout out to my dog, Will Wallace, in the building. He's not a danger. When did paying someone to be a private partner, adult partner, make someone a dangerous person? Well, because they admitted during the court proceedings that he was violent. And if this were a case about him being violent, then he should stay in jail. And the judge said, well, you gonna stay, you know what, in jail. Kara said, not violent. Yeah, that's a joke. Oh, man. Let me see. She doesn't want to lose that money. There's got to be another motive. Will said, it's the least she can do. Diddy's still paying for her mortgage, lawyers, and therapists. Who knows what else he supports? Yeah, she's like, I need to get these bills paid. So can we get him out? With that said, in my opinion, Diddy is absolutely disgusting. I don't think anybody in their right mind would want to hang around Diddy at this point. Me, myself included. What ClassE said, release Diddy, not fair to hold him. Yeah, I agree. Diddy is being punished for being found not guilty. You ever heard of Yak Gotti? All that man was guilty of was defending himself in prison. And he sat in there for a long time. Wild stuff, man. Shout out to y'all, man. Big shout out to everyone for liking the video. I appreciate every single one of you, especially those of y'all that went the extra mile liked the video, and shared it. Thank you to all the super chats as well. Shout out to Les Cleaver in here, Slim Life, New Jersey, Kara, Floyd, the Real Deal, Neil, and as always, my awesome, amazing Amy. We are going to be back tomorrow, so make sure if you haven't yet subscribed, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time that we go live or drop a new video. I appreciate y'all sticking with us. Thank you to everybody who joined in on the Saturday show. That was a lot of fun, actually. We had a good time on the Saturday show. We might have to do that again in the future. But you guys know what to do. Have a great rest of your afternoon. As always, keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We gone. Peace. Y'all be good out there.